Okay then, so I am going to put together the Land Raider Spartan from Age of Darkness. Now, I absolutely love a Land Raider, but I also think this is going to be a very big job to put this thing together. So, I'm going to start with the left side track, and I have kind of coloured that in to make it a bit easier to follow. Now, in order to do this, you need two sprues. You need sprue B and sprue E to actually do this one. So B has all of the kind of big chunky out wheel parts with all of the individual wheels for the tracks to attach to, whereas sprue E has more like the hull plating parts of the tracks. So in order to start, I need B1, B2 and E1. So I've coloured them in green to make them a bit easier to follow here. Might have to zoom out a tiny bit to make it easier to see. Okay, so there we go. B1, which is over here. Fortunately, with a big kit like this, there's so many little bits to cut at. I just thought about a long job. Just snipping alone is probably going to take 5 minutes. Okay, B1, and then over this side for B2. Oh, gosh, I've lost it now. Over here, B2. The problem with these big vehicle kits is so many more points to cut, which means you're going to do a lot more clearing up to get them prepared for use. So that's the B1 and B2, and now I need E1. So over here, and this is this big chunky part. Now, I am seriously considering here magnetising the key parts of this tank, all of the weapons, but that shouldn't affect the way that I construct most parts of it. But it will mean that as I get to some of the end parts, rather than using glue to secure the plastic together, you'll see me, I will instead be using magnets, and I'll be gluing the magnets on at key points, and that's really the only major difference that this makes. Fortunately, I seem to have misplaced my scalpel. I had it a few minutes ago. Okay, and then just make sure you tidy this up, because I've found that particularly with most vehicles, if the mould lines aren't proper, if the sprue lines are not cleared up properly, if the joining points are not cleared up, sometimes the tracks won't fit on properly, or you'll actually see it kind of, it's almost like sticking out where you don't want it to be. See this one here. You can see, just be careful, because some of these, they might look like sprue lines from the back, they might look like mold lines from the back, but from the front they're not. They're actually part of the design. Okay, get there. Okay, that's all nicely cleaned up now. And then I'll get this one. This is B1. And just get this cleaned up quickly. Just having a good look. I actually have a Sakaran as well. I wish I'd actually done the video of building that one, because I absolutely love it. And I'm gonna really put these two next to each other when they're done, because I really want to see like the similarities. I think the Land Raider Spartan is the bigger tank. Gosh, there's so many points to clean up on this. It's unbelievable. Look at that, first 7 minutes of the video, and I'm just unclipping it and I'm cleaning it up and nothing else. Okay, now I'm just going to dry fit it to begin with to make sure that I'm slotting it together right. So it's the turret attachment here that goes towards the front, and then you'll see that it doesn't quite go in easily either way. You're kind of needing to say like slot them together, so you'll slide them in and then clip it like that. Okay, so I'm going to find the key points that I feel it's best to glue this together without us actually seeing the glue points, which is always a problem on ones like this. So we got this bit here, looks good. Okay, I need to push that glue away. I think here, so here as well is a good place to put some glue. And then on this side here, and then a bit on there. Now, because of the way this is, oh no, I've accidentally spilled glue there. I hate doing that. Curse you, glue, go away. I have to very carefully clean that up. Right, and again, see, so popping it behind like that, and then popping them together. There we go. Then just making sure that it's solid. Okay, and then just make sure that top and bottom, they are evenly balanced. Okay, and while that's given, well, letting that dry a bit, I'm going to clean up this side of things. So this is B2. I'm going to clean it up nice and quick as I can. still something stuck there that I don't need. Oh gosh. Yeah, there's some definitely difficult areas to clean up on this, I'll tell you that now. Particularly with the curves, and then so it's hard to get my clippers into every single little point. Just going to file that one down there because I don't like that. It looks too, doesn't look clean. Okay, right, and then doing the same again. Just going to dry fit it to make sure that I get the feel right of how it should go together. So if you look there and there, so it kind of goes and hides behind each other. So this is just a nice click on, but I'm just obviously want to think about where I should put the glue to hide and make sure nothing shows. So the good thing is that little point there, and that little point there definitely don't. And then I'll probably want to put glue there and then glue on the bottom, and I think that will give me, it'll put the glue where I want it to do, but it'll also kind of hide it away as best as possible. So again, a little bit on here. Okay, and I think if I slide that now, take that little bit up there, I don't want that showing. Okay, there we go. Okay, and then that's just nicely clicking in, no problem. Yep, and then just make sure it's properly secured. There we go. Right, so that's part one of the left side done, and then we have to move on to the second part now. Oh yeah, this is definitely a big job, no doubt about it. Okay, so moving on to the next part, which I think is what you might call the inner side of the trap. So in order to do this, I need B3, E9 and E11. So here's our B3. Such a big kit. I'm trying to make sure that as best I can I keep what I'm doing in view of the camera, but unfortunately, even zoomed out a bit, this was such a big kit that it's hard to keep it in view every single time I cut something. I'm trying my best. Okay, let's B3 out. And then E9 and E11. So back over here to our E. So 11, this little bit here. And then E9. Okay, over here. I'm just going to be careful here because 9 and 11 are very similar in their appearance. So what I'm going to do is, in order to remember which one's which, 9 is going at the top. So if I put this like this and then put 9 there, 11 there, and then that's the way I'll remember which one's which. Okay, time to tie this up quickly. put my thumb open then. I was being stupid then. Well, and I not paying attention. Oh dear. Yeah. Yeah, it's a rite of passage, by the way. If you need to put in these Warhammer models together, or any models together, I think it's like a rite of passage that you have to slice something open with a knife. Yeah, make sure you give your appropriate sacrifices to the blood god by slicing part of your body open. Right. Okay, so this 9, it goes up at the top here. So it looks like it's quite a simple join. You see? Just should. Let me check here. Oh, I've got it upside down. That doesn't help. Yeah. So there. So can you see there's like a little nipple joint, whatever it's called. I'm sure there's an official proper name for that. Okay, so I should be okay for getting my glue. Oh, good. Pop a little bit of glue into that there. A little bit on there just to secure it. Let my glue breathe. And then make sure that it lines up perfectly. Yeah. Okay. Ooh. Just trying to make sure that there's no gap there. There we go. Right. And then same with this bottom one. Just clear this up quickly. Okay, and then again we've got a kind of dimple and nipple style connector here just to slide it in. A bit too much on there. And pop it in. I think when I do the other side, I'm going to try and zoom my camera out a bit more because the model is so big and I'm so zoomed in. Used to models being smaller at the moment when I do them. Okay, there we go. We've got the second half done. Well, part of the second half done. Then we need B5 and B4 just to finish off the track halves. So B4 over here. Then that is going along the bottom, so I'll put that there. And then B5, this one here. And I'll try my best to keep this big chunky sprue in. Get these tidied up. I'm on a tight time at the moment. Actually, I need to go somewhere. Should go that way around. Ooh. Right, and again, if I have a look here, if I get this the right way around, so it should attach like that. You can see it's not got a lot of space to glue this on, though it's a very small joint. So I'm going to put my glue here. Oh, my glue seems to be running a lot quicker than normal at the moment. It's very fast. Getting a lot more glue than I would normally want pouring onto joints. Okay, and then there's that bit, and then what you do is those 2 points there need to join together like that. So you get those 2 halves of the inner track and then just pop them together like that. And again, making sure that there's no gap. Now that's probably the hardest part now, is just actually making sure that when you pop them together, they're not causing a gap either side, which I have to admit does seem quite difficult on this one. I think I have been rather naughty and not cleaned that up enough. Let me clean that up a bit more. Let's see if that's better. Yeah, okay, yeah, make sure you clean up that, because obviously there's a mould line right there on this side. And if it's not cleaned up enough, it makes it very difficult to put together. Okay. And then what we've got here is we've got the 2 halves, and we can just kind of pop them together now. I'm gonna glue those 2 halves together like this, so we need to make sure that everything lines up properly. Again, just going to dry fit it first just to make sure, and then I'm going to attempt to glue along here. So I don't want to overdo it. You can see I'm actually just putting the glue. I'll show you. Just putting it on those little dimples there more than anything. Some of those little end points. Okay. And then this should just slide in together. Again, make sure that it's nice and firm. Unfortunately, I can't find any strong rubber bands around, otherwise I would really, band these together and force them, because sometimes it can be quite a bit of a problem when they separate. So there we go, that is our left side track. And then just last bit, so if you want to, you can actually buy, so this is B11 for here. Popping this one off, this is the door, but you can actually buy some custom doors based upon each legion if you want to. I've seen them, unless they've stopped making them, but I'm sure they haven't done, on Forge World. So this is B11 and that's the door plate, but you can actually get a custom one. And we also need is it now E18. So here's our E, and we need number 18, which is this one here, this kind of plate. Okay, pop that off. Tidy them up very, very quickly. So the door is pretty self-explanatory about its positioning, but this one, let's tidy this up. God, I love this Land Raider. I love the Land Raider. It's just one of those insane tanks. I mean, if you just look at the Land Raider, everything about it in some ways just says it's, well, a bit clunky and a bit large, but obviously when you consider it that it is a Space Marine tank, then it starts to make a bit more sense about what it is and what it does. Right then, so this one here, this is where you start getting into difficulty, or at least I get into a bit of difficulty. So it goes like that, okay? So it's like the cover for the sponson, okay? It is there. Okay, just like that, nicely on and over. Okay, and then just the door to tidy up now and the door to pop on. As I said, you can buy a custom door part. I said, I'm sure it's Forge World that does all the custom door parts, and I think that they still all exist. And I've got to admit, you have absolutely no idea how tempted I feel to just buy one of these to turn into an Orc scrap wagon. Into an Orc battle wagon, a custom battle wagon, because you know me. You know what? I just love it so much. Okay, yeah, and then that pops there. I mean, obviously, if you really wanted to, and it's something that I'd love to do, you could even potentially play with that and actually create a hook for it and a bar for it. I don't think I need to do that for this one, but it's something that I definitely like the idea of doing. Yeah, but a little bit of work and you could put a hinge on that. I am going to magnetise the weapons for this. But as much as I would love to spend time magnetising that door, I'm not going to. But there we go. That is your left side track. All done. Okay, so now I'm going to build the right side track, which again, it's very similar. You need both E and B sprues, and we're going to start off with B6 and 7, which is over here on the B sprue, which has got all the outer tracks. So B6, this one here. Now, as I said on the other one, it's not great because you have to cut so many different parts of this off. It's unbelievable. Now, I was, having a read up on the history of the Land Raider from both a canon concept, but also, from the actual model, I suppose, in itself. So, as we know, as you might not know actually, the Land Raider Spartan is obviously very similar to the original plastic Land Raider first produced for Rogue Trader. So it's got a very similar design setup, that is kind of like, it's got its tracks more raised outwards. You can see the inner workings a bit more. So it's a lot more old-fashioned, and as I said, more similar in design style to the original one, which is great in some ways, because obviously the Beaky Marines are based upon the original Space Marine models that you could get. So in that, in that way, it's great that they've actually decided, for the Horus Heresy, we're going to try and, take what was quite iconic about the old designs and obviously just make them new, get the scaling right and everything like that, which I'm really, really pleased about. I really absolutely love that. Now, so that's good, but then obviously it does also incorporate some design elements from the newer one, and I wish I had an old one and a new one to put next to each other. In fact, I wish I had like the original Land Raider, which is a shame. I used to have two, but they went a long time ago, unfortunately. So get the original one from Rogue Trader, then get myself and oh yeah, get B7 off here as well while I'm at it. Yeah. And then get the Warhammer 40k one, I suppose would be the best way to put it. So the one that's the old, you know, the one that goes with the Aquila class armor, I suppose would be the best way to describe it. And then put this one next to it, and I'd love to see the kind of comparison between them and how they look next to each other. So I think that would be a very nice thing to do. Fortunately, I just simply can't do that, but I will hopefully one day be able to put this next to maybe a Chaos Land Raider, and then we can have a good look at the different stylings. Okay, and said I'd love to just kind of do a comparison. So, you know, that's the kind of look, as it were, into the Land Raider, and it's a beautiful piece of history behind the thing. And as I said, in the early days of Rogue Trader, they weren't just restricted to Space Marines, you know, obviously. Well, they're not restricted to Space Marines per se now. I mean, obviously you can get the Inquisition to use them, and technically the Martian Priesthood can use them if they want to, the Adeptus Mechanicus, because they can access anything. But they tend to be very Space Marine-y. Okay, and now I'm going to get E2. So I'm going to go over to my E-sprue, and I'm going to get number 2, which is this big chunky one here. Yeah, so going off from that, I like the fluff as well of how the Land Raider came to be. And I like the story that obviously you have the Land Raider and the Land Speeder. Just tidy this up while I chat. And obviously the Land... They were both discovered by Arkan Land, who was I think it was like a techno-archaeologist, I think they referred to, or something like that. And he goes into the Librarius Omni on an expedition at sometime early on in the Great Crusade, and he manages to find, you know, some interesting standard template constructs, and from those he derived Land Raider and Land Speeder. I also believe he was responsible for a tractor as well that seems to has certain similarities with the Chimera hull, and you know, it's basically just a heavy duty machine tractor that gets used. But you do actually hear, and this is what I really like apparently there's books where they've like taken it and used it as a military vehicle for the Astra Militarum. So I like the idea that that's there in the background in some ways, and it's kind of sad that with the new Imperial Guard book they've brought us a new Rogel Dawn class tank, which I'm very interested to get hold of. But I kind of feel like they've missed something. I think that's something Forge World used to do very well. So right, here we go. So we need to get this on here. So like with last time, it kind of needs to, you need to kind of get it like a little hinge and lock it under like that. So again, I'll start gluing my key points now. Okay then, and then there. Yes, so I feel that in a way they kind of missed the potential to actually kind of build. But yeah, Forge World used to do that really well. They used to give us, you know, some beautiful tank variations, and I'm so sad that that stopped. You know, that you just don't see them anymore. Like, you know, the Salamander, why have they not moved the Salamander up, promoted it into the main core of the Chimera chassis? It's so sad not to see it. because it was just so good to have a light scout tank for the Imperial Guard. Okay, and now gonna get the back one. And again, just this one's nice and easy. It'll just slide in like that. Okay, and that's that part nicely done. Now I'm going to go to the inner parts now. So for that, I need to start off with B9 and B10. So yeah, B9 and B10, which is this one here. Yeah, so I wish they would, in some ways, really play around. I mean, it's like, I know a lot of people are saying that with the Rogel Dawn, why did they not just make the Malcador? So, again, that's another thing that I'm like, yeah, actually, the Malcador and Macarius, why not make that one in plastic like you did the Baneblade? People would love it to death. I'm really hoping that it's not going to disappear from Forge World now that the Rogel Dawn's come along, because the Rogel Dawn seems to have a very different battlefield aim or purpose compared to the Malcador and the Macarius. Right. Okay, so again, get these nice and tidied up. I love a good tank. My aim within the next year is to actually build a Baneblade again, and I'm gonna recreate, and I know it's gonna take me a bit of doing. It's not a Baneblade I'm gonna build to begin with, because I want to buy Baneblade and magnetize it so it can be used in every single variation. No, that's not what I want to build actually. I want to build a shadow sword, and I want to recreate the shadow sword that I built years ago. Anyway, okay, so these two bits, they just kind of nice and simple slot together like that. Let's get my glue here. Yeah, basically what I did was I combined, get that gluing properly, I combined a shadow sword setup, and I combined it with, oh, that's not clean, is it? That's not good. Just realised I've got a little bit on there that wasn't very cleanly tidied up. Yeah, I combined it with the Manticore, that was it, the Manticore missile rack, and then I built the missile rack on the back of it. Okay, B8, E10 and E12, so there's B8 just here. Yeah, so and it looked great, and the reason I did that is because I wanted to recreate the shadow sword from the old Epic game, where it was like, you know, the small shadow swords from that, what they had on them was a very large missile rack. I think it was their like Hellfire missiles, but you know, I felt that Manticore missiles were a fine alternative. Right, I'm just gonna put that. Yeah, it's like that. I'm just trying to make sure they're the right way around now when I place them, and then I'm gonna get E10 and E12. So here is, let me find them. There's E12. Okay, and E12 goes at the bottom, so I'm going to place that at the bottom of it. And then P10 goes at the top part. Yeah, so I used to, some of the things that I've done in my time, and obviously, you know, when I built that, I was nowhere near at the same skill level that I am now. I mean, obviously, I don't want to boast about my skill level because I know I've still got a long way to go. But I believe I can recreate that far better than I did it originally. Right, and then again, another quick dry fit just to make sure that it's easy to put on, which is fine. So what I need to do is pop a little bit of glue down there. And then there we go, just nice and simple there like that. You can see so many joins on here, joining points, that it's so easy to miss one when you're tidying it up. Okay, and then I'll tidy up this bottom one quickly. Okay, and then again, just do a quick dry fit just to make sure it's all good, but nice and simple, it just goes there. And get a bit of glue there, and a bit of glue there. And then just, you know, make sure that it's getting into it, the glue's breathing, so that it produces a very strong bond. Okay, and then from there I can start to glue those two halves together, which is very simple. So as you can see, they've got dimples and nipples on the different sides to just kind of secure them. Right then, and now I need to make plans to glue that on, but I think on the last one I didn't cut these off before I glued it together, and so it wasn't quite dry on this side before I did the rest. So I'll just slow myself down now by getting so E19, which is this one here. And that's the bit that covers the side sponson. And then I'm going to get my door plate, number 11. You can see the sprue's slowly becoming empty. Now, you do actually get the Imperial Fist and Sons of Horus iconography on these, which is good because I'll probably add them on. I'll probably add the Imperial Fist one on because this one's going to be an Imperial Fist. Yes, so see, I've got as a counter to this, my Night Lords have got a Sicaran because you've probably seen from one of my videos when I showed off a few of the designs concepts that I did. So this will just go on here nice and easily. Just need to drop a bit of glue in here. Push it down, let it breathe. There we go, nice and solid. Said, kind of feel it would be nice if I didn't glue this down and spent a bit of time putting it on a hinge or something, but I think for what I'm doing right now, you know what, I'll just glue it on, because I think I don't really want to do much with this one anyway. I'm trying to decide actually how I'm going to modify this, you know, to make it a bit more unique. Now obviously Imperial Fists are Siege Masters, so they're, well, not Siege Masters, Defense Masters. Big difference. So I've got to think about how I'm going to make this feel like it forms part of a defensive structure. Okay, I'll just have to glue this. See, I know it would be easy to say, well, you know, plopping sandbags on, that will make it feel like it's going to do a bit of fortification. But then I was thinking, no. Problem with sandbags is they look kind of thrown together, and that's not what the Imperial Fists do in the end. They don't throw defences together haphazardly, do they? They plan it. They probably come with all of their ideas as part of it. They probably know exactly what they're doing when they set up a siege. When they set up a fortification. I like some of the ideas that I heard about the Iron Warriors, how their rhinos had like additional defensive platings on them that could turn into a bit of a wall. I think it was that's how I read it anyway, that he kind of rolled out like that. Anyway, okay, so there we go. I've got my 2 track halves all ready now. So I'm not going to go on to actually putting the track plates on them yet, because that's not how the instructions go, and I just want to kind of do it by the book, even though I don't think it'll make that much of a difference. But that's how you actually prepare the left and right track sides for the Land Raider Spartan.